GMB Pros, welcome family, everyone that's catching us on the replay. Those that are catching us live on Facebook, I appreciate everyone's support. Once again, the goal of William and I's purpose of GMB Pros is twofold. One, to help grow your agency, or two, is help get better results for your clients. And we do this by having our guests and kind of giving over the shoulder, giving us like a perspective of different parts of marketing, different niches of marketing, right? And I came across Dave, and Dave and I chatted a little bit here. And as you guys see in the email, it has to do with healthcare SEO. Why is it different? How is it different? What are some of the challenges when it comes to content, when it comes to backlinks, right? When it comes to general in marketing, and why it's so different. So I'm like, perfect, right? We have a few. Dr. Margot's on here today. I just spoke with her, and she's like, she was really looking forward to today's GMB. So thank you for hopping on here with us. But David, for those of us that don't know you, if you can kind of give us a little like where you've been, I see you have RN, like, you're a registered nurse, where you're at today, how you got to marketing, and kind of like what the future holds for you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, it's been kind of a long journey coming into marketing, because I started out as a nurse and I just wanted to help people. That's why I did it. Wanted to have a job that was that had job security. Started working in the emergency department, and there I saw how many people needed help, specifically in the area of addiction. People were coming in every day overdosing. This would have been like 2009, 2010, when heroin was really starting to go everywhere. That was before fentanyl came down the pike. Bath salts were big back then, and it was insane just how many people needed help, how many people were dying or coming in asking for help. So I felt inspired to start a nonprofit addiction rehab center. And so I did that. And man, that's how I got in marketing. I had no idea what digital marketing really was at the time. I knew that Google made ads, but that's it. And so I out of necessity, I had to start learning some SEO, learning some Google ads. I hired an SEO agency, and man, I had no idea what they were doing. Our rep with the agency showed up high on heroin to Zoom calls, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. First of all, for him, but besides that, I was like, what are these guys doing? We need to do this on our own. We need to figure this out. I already had a videographer, somebody managing social media for our treatment center. And you know what? I knew that I need to do something. We can do a better job on our own, because I had been learning some SEO and some Google ads and stuff. Our ads budget at the time was $15,000 per month. We were cranking out lots of content. And so I said, you know what? I just need to start my own agency, because I can do a better job with some help of some other people. And sure enough, I started the agency. We call it Digitalis now, but basically it's a healthcare marketing agency. We can make a difference and help some other facilities. And then at the same time, it was going to be able to help us to do a better job for our own marketing, so people could find us and get help. And so that's what I ended up doing. And since then, it's been slow and steady, and we've been able to make a difference, continue to help people with their addiction issues, but then at the same time, do a great job for our clients and help healthcare facilities grow. So that's kind of the short version of it, but it's been a journey, but it's been a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if we can unpack that a little bit, like nursing in the ER. So that kind of hits close to home. Like my wife, she works, what state was that in, David?
It's Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, so my wife's in California.
Okay.
At the San Bernardino Community Hospital.
Wow.
And they have well, they actually have a mental health branch facility on there.
Okay.
So I get it. It really like hits home, like the help that is really needed.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure she's got endless stories. We tell stories for days. Don't have time in a
Yeah.
podcast to tell any, that's for sure.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, our end, right? That's challenging as it is,
Yeah.
to get that. That's a great feat. So, when you switch to like a nonprofit, how was that like? Was that a smooth setup, or how did you get that started?
Oh man, it was actually really amazing. So I'm a Christian. I go to church, and so I told my pastor, it's like, man, I really feel like I want to do something to help some people because they need help, and all we have is like a list of local AA meetings that people can go to, which that's great, that's fine, but these people need more than that. And I wanted to start something that to help them where they can actually live there, learn how to create a budget, learn how to get a job, keep a job, more than just a list of AA meetings that the social worker is going to give them.
Mhm.
And he said, you know what, we want to try that, and my church was willing to invest in helping people, kind of like as an angel investment, just to help people in the community. So that's how it was funded. It started out as a sober living program, just where some in a house where some men could stay, get some help, with a handful of guys that were friends of mine that had been through some of the same things that these people had been through. And within a year, we ended up making it a full-on treatment center with a clinic. We had a detox program. We ended up a couple years later opening a women's house too, and then later that just didn't work out because the industry changed a lot, and so we ended up restructuring it completely. Now we're back to the way we had originally structured it, was just a men's home. We're not taking insurance anymore. Just keep it really simple. It's helping guys put their lives back together. And this is the way I love it the most. It's actually the most rewarding for me because now I'm not juggling paperwork, hiring and firing a bunch of staff. I mean, at one time we had 25 staff. Too crazy, too complicated dealing with health insurance. This is so much better. And we just have a handful of guys that are friends of mine helping these guys get their lives on the right track. So I love it.
Awesome, awesome.
And doing
Yeah.
marketing at the same time.
Yeah, so it went
Yeah.
from so you're a nurse, you have these homes helping people, making an impact in your
Yeah.
community. Like, hey, you had this horrible experience, right? It's so common. Like, I don't know what my art marketing agency is doing. I don't know where my money is going, right?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
know that feeling.
like out of necessity, like you said, I got to
Mhm.
learn this, right? And is
Exactly.
somebody else in my industry going through this? So can you kind of like, okay, so you're learning this, you kind of seeing like, man, what are some of the like pitfalls? Because health, right?
Hmm.
Money, all that's, what are some of the extra hurdles that you have to climb or go through for that?
For healthcare marketing,
Yeah.
well, now you're taking me back to when I was looking for an agency. It was like, well, I know I don't have time to be writing blogs all day. I'm doing administrative stuff. I gotta bring on board a new therapist, or I gotta hire a new house technician. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need help with this blog writing stuff. I know I should be doing some link building, but I don't know how to do it. So I just need to find an agency that actually understands healthcare. And so that brings me to probably some of the main thing is that it really is a unique industry. We all know that all of us that have worked in SEO or marketing, every client thinks that their industry is unique. It's like nobody lays tile like I do. I'm the only flooring guy that does it, or nobody has as quality of roof shingles as we do. Everybody can say that they're unique, and sure, every business needs to have a unique selling proposition. That's true. That doesn't mean it's a completely unique business. However, in healthcare, understanding healthcare is almost as important as understanding SEO itself, because they want someone that understands the marketing part, but understanding healthcare is extremely critical, because if you say something wrong on their website, there's legal implications to that.
Mm.
They're they can get sued, or they can have some malpractice, or something else. It is illegal to give medical advice or to claim to provide some sort of service when you're not actually providing it or not qualified to provide it. So it is a big deal. It really does matter in healthcare. Another thing is the language is different. They they speak Latin basically. In healthcare, it's Latin. It's pretty complicated, and the technical jargon can get complex really quickly. One other thing is they're really dealing with human lives. There really are lives at stake. And so if we're going to do healthcare marketing, we got to make sure we're doing it right. So those are just a few of the things.
Cool. So can you walk us through, so marketing is marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
so when I say that, I mean, for me, it falls into 5 pillars, right? It
Okay.
falls into on page, off page, content, backlink, and traffic.
Yeah.
And I think you can take those to any, like you said, somebody that's laying tile, somebody a lawyer, and
Yeah.
then in this healthcare. Can you tell us how unique and different, um, let's say we take content, backlink,
Mhm.
and then I'll let you pick one other area.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So content is super important. Obviously, we all know that because that's what the algorithms are trying to index to determine where people stand. So you can't just create content and post it. It really needs to be reviewed by someone who's a qualified medical professional. Like I said before, it's illegal to give medical advice without a license or to try to provide a service that you're not qualified to provide. And so the way I like to do it, there's a few different options that I give to clients when we're going to be producing content for them. And in an ideal world, what I like to do is have my team do all the keyword research, do all the SEO strategy, create an outline for the client, and have somebody that's actually on their team that's going to actually write it out. So we'll give them like a brief in a Google Doc. They'll flesh out and actually write it out, which we save them a ton of time because we create the outline. And then we'll do the SEO optimization afterwards. We'll actually go and post it for the Google Doc. We'll post it and then SEO optimize it, create internal links, do all the on-page stuff. And that's nice and smooth. That's great. The biggest issue for them then would be just having the time to do that. So it depends on the facility and their staff. Another way to do it nowadays, and especially in the last couple of years, to be to have AI generate it with our instruction, with our strategy and our keyword research already in place. So use AI to generate the content and then send it to somebody on their team to review it. We know that the error rate is super low with that because there aren't humans actually writing it. But that's something that some of our clients have brought to us as an idea just to save them time. And that's fine. If you guys want to do it that way, yeah, no problem. We just got to make sure that it's, reviewed by somebody who's qualified before it's actually published. Another way to do it would be for someone who actually has professional writers on their team. This would be for larger companies, especially as long as they have some SEO training. So we would create the guidelines, we do the SEO strategy, map it out, send it to the client to actually write everything. And then either they can do SEO optimization during that process, or we can SEO optimize it as far as internal linkings, reviewing everything, metadata, and so on.
Now, Dave, so with Google right now, how they even with AI, or you said keyword research and do the outline.
Yeah.
For healthcare, without giving advice, how do you make that a unique piece of content? How do you put like your own spin, your own personality, and walking that line where it's for Google, it's for somebody that's a client that's searching for their help,
Yeah.
and staying in compliant?
Yeah, that's a question. That is a good question. It depends. If there's somebody that's qualified involved in the process, then that makes it a lot easier because you can give advice and you can say pretty much whatever you want as long as it falls within your expertise. So for me, if I'm reviewing something, or let's say somebody from the facility, if it's a physician assistant or an actual provider like a doctor, then anything goes. You can give health advice, so it's not an issue then. As long as it says that they reviewed it and approved it, then we're good. Yeah, but as far as walking the fine line, let's say if you don't have somebody who's a qualified professional, you can explain disease processes. Like you can explain, what's the spot on my skin, and you got a whole article that's saying 11 different skin conditions or something. That'd be more like a listicle, article describing what it is, but you're not necessarily giving advice.
Got it.
You just gotta stay within the parameters of what your expertise is.
Awesome. Absolutely. And I think it's easier, right? Because that's your niche, it's the healthcare industry, right? So
Yeah,
you
that helps.
kind of yeah, absolutely. It helps with the keywords. the AI prompts, right? Like, hey, you got to stick with
Yeah.
this, or some examples that you would maybe feed it.
Mhm.
So now you think the biggest hurdle, as far as how do you get the clinic? Is it the doctor that's doing it? Is it the lawyer that's doing it? Is the nurse practitioner? Who's reviewing this to get them to? Because I think that's one of your biggest, to get that back from them, right? They don't have time in between patients.
Yeah, we kind of spell that all out in a kickoff call. I like to do that, once we've decided to work together, we're a good fit for between us and them. That's one of the biggest things, we want to make sure how is the work going to get done, and who are the key people that need to review it first. If it's going to be more than two people, it just becomes too cumbersome, and they're going to end up not having time to do it. Then we end up waiting 6 months, and they got a backlog of 40 blog posts. This is not going to work well. They're not going to be getting the results that they want unless they have some time to do that. So yeah, the key is just having somebody that can commit to it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we talked about content, and that's kind of on page, right? Keyword
Yeah.
outlines, that's all still relevant. That's best in
Critical.
class, right? Best
Yeah.
practices, yeah, critical. As far as, let's say, backlinks,
Mhm.
right? Now, what is your philosophy? What is your thought as far as backlinks? Is there just backlinks for backlink's sake? Is it specific? Is it geo-specific? Do you have your own? How do you leverage that lever?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixture of all of the above, honestly. You always want to start with the foundation, especially like in the first month, as you're fixing any critical technical errors and getting your content strategy and everything like that together. I would do the main directories, make sure the client has those. There's so many different solutions with the main directories, like obviously Google My Business, Apple Maps, Yext. I'm sorry, not Yext. Yahoo, Bing places. And then what I like to do is you do the main directories, and you could use Yext. SEMrush Local is actually a really good one that been using more recently in the last year or two. That's affordable and really good quality. Just to get the top directories, the main directories that are not niche specific. But then we get into the juicy stuff, which is more along the lines of what you asked. The industry specific ones, they can be huge. Like WebMD, that is massive. There's like 4 or 5 main healthcare ones that you don't want to miss. After that, they're not as important because they're less likely. The other industry specific ones are less likely to be bringing real traffic, but they're still good for backlinks. But the main ones would be Healthgrades, WebMD, Vitals.com, US News Health, and then ZocDoc. Those are like the big 5 main healthcare directories. You want to be listed in those. Definitely.
Now, are those publications, or are those like your directories?
Those are actual directories. US
Okay.
News Health, they do have like their own publications because these are actually like some of them are multi-billion-dollar companies. But yeah, it can be both. But they do have each of those does have their own directory. Yeah.
Oh, and that's what I was talking to Dr. Margot here as far as her GMB, and like it's, with the different packages
Yeah.
we offer. So we were just talking about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's
So
huge. That definitely helps a lot. I will add a couple of things to that. So that's like just laying the foundation. But one thing I will mention that you don't want to miss is sometimes you get really unique opportunities with publicity. Like we've done a lot of Hero link building with some clients, and certain niches, it can be hard to get them, but some that are easier would be anything cosmetic or skin related, like a med spa, dermatology, plastic surgeons, it, anything that's related to like personal care or like any health issue that people are highly aware of or looking out for is something that's a huge publicity opportunity. We've gotten some amazing links from some really big places like Yahoo News or even like Huffington Post from articles through Harrow specifically. So that's something to really look out for and dig into.
nice. So does this require like a lot of time? How big is your team now as far as within the marketing agency? Is it a lot of effort put into those backlinks?
It can be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, you can set up alerts like automations in your email. I like to create a unique inbox for each client. That way, we can monitor that inbox. You know, sign up for Haro for their specific opportunities that we're looking for.
Mm,
I only have 2 writers on our team.
awesome.
They're just super efficient. Like if you have really good operational processes, I only have 2 people that are internal. I mean, we have a network of writers that we can also tap if we were, like, let's say we're super busy or something. But because we have a decent number of clients writing their own stuff, we don't have to have a huge internal team of writers.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. We covered a little bit, the best practices, what I like to call them, your foundational stuff,
Yeah.
right? Best in class, as far as that, with, keyword research for your content on page, your backlinks, start off with the basics, go after, the big ones here, especially with Haro that you can expand out. What else makes healthcare SEO different?